Hello all, welcome back. Did you have time to grab your coffee? I was trying with the sound, but it seems that I was having the same problems as Traian before, even though I'm not in Hamburg, I'm in Spain. So it seems it's replicated. So I see already the slides from Marcin on the screen, and I will give some hints about him before we jump in the content. So Marcin Skrysipek, he is a member of the Urban Space Culture Council and Forum for Culture of Space, urban activist, an employee of the Grodzka Gate NN Center in Lublin, and a passionate cultural analyst and journalist, a promoter of space culture, social participation, and the so-called broad culture. A lot of very interesting topics that I'm pretty sure that his presentation will be really inspirational, and that's the reason why we're starting with him, our inspirational Techpill talks. Marcin, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much for this introduction and for inviting me to this presentation and this project. Now I'm checking, okay, I can share my screen. So first, before I share the screen, I'll say that I would like to ask you to let me know 5 minutes before I will have to finish that I have to finish, okay? Thank you very much. So first, I will show you the general context of your challenge. So this is the mentioned green network or green connection. The presentation is in Polish. It was made by students, but what will be important in it are pictures, and the description will be provided by me in English. So the idea of the green connection is to connect Lublin green areas, which are either between built-up areas, between buildings simply, or which are green squares and parks, and which are within green valleys and ravines. Because as you can see, Lublin is located on a little highland intersected by such valleys and ravines, which are simply not built up. These main, let's say, gray areas are our river valleys, and these like roots or trees are the ravines and valleys, and the area which we will be talking about is more or less here. It's a small part of the whole system. The beginnings of the green connection are connected with our bid for the European Capital of Culture in bid. It was in 2010, more or less 2010 to 2012. And one of the inputs, bottom-up inputs from the side of experts, academics, students, and such activists or people who simply deal with space as me. One of such inputs was the idea to transform Lublin from such a place where green areas are atomized, let's say, into connecting them into such a network, such a connection. Let's more or less 10 years later, we returned to this project, to this idea, and made a better map of the whole green areas in Lublin. And again, made up the network of proposed connections. So this is this change. So the yellow lines are the connections. There are more or less 120 such connections. Some of them use green space. Some of them make this space possible to walk through or bike through. Some of them run along streets. So there are many different ways of approaching these connections. Generally, we call them greenways. They are called in English in such a way. And then now we'll just a few cases, inspirational cases from the world. This is Singapore Park Connector Network. So you can easily find it in internet. So sometimes such connections require building bridges, like here, or they are almost ready, like here on this picture. Or they, as here on this picture, require building pavements or bike routes, bike roads, just for people to lead them through a green space, from one green space to another. Another inspiration from the world is Memphis Greenpoint. So it's another green connection in another city. And a few pictures that may be inspirational for you. Of course, the whole presentation will be available. Sometimes such places require only renovation or protection. Another smaller project of this kind is London Jubilee Greenway. It's a linear concept along some canal or river. The idea is to allow people move between the green spaces along in the surroundings that are simply people friendly, human friendly. Another linear concept is promenade, plenty, maybe, I don't know how to pronounce it. And a few pictures from this promenade. So sometimes they may be quite spectacular and quite requiring lots of money, and sometimes may be quite humble and easy. Just a few pictures from the network, green network in Lublin, how this situation looks like in other places. I'll just go through these pictures just to let you know what we are talking about. I won't concentrate on the places. Okay, I think it's enough. And now I will try to share with you another screen, our problem area. So this is our problem area. It's a small piece, a small connection between a small piece of this network, small connection between existing green valley or ravine, which is to some extent already arranged, and the connection leading to so-called Czechów Hills, where a park is being prepared to be organized. When we in that people encounter on their way between. I'm afraid I lost connection. So
yeah, we've been losing you sometimes, but now we hear you well. We
yes,
are now seeing
my
that the screen
connection
is
is
sharing. Yes, now we
my
have
connection is
seen you again.
unstable, but my connection is unstable, but I can't do anything about it. So this is our problem area, a connection between residential area and Czechów Hills, where there is a park being prepared. And on the map, you have all the challenges, all the difficult points marked by figures from 1 to 14. They are marked from the Czechów Hills to the interior of the residential area. But I think the logic behind this connection is to let people out of the residential area. So I will show pictures from the number 14 to the Czechów Hills. Just
I think we are losing Marcin. Marcin, maybe you can turn off your camera and maybe the connection will be better.
no, I don't think so.
Screen, or maybe not.
I don't think so. It's a Wi-Fi connection, and let's try. I don't know when the connection stopped, but I will simply continue. So from my point of view, what is important in the outcome of your work would be to make some views of the connections. So some visualizations of the of your solutions, so that people, inhabitants of Lublin, could see that their city could be simply better, could be nicer, and its look would be simply more pleasant. Okay, so this is the map, and now introduction to a particular. Let's immerse in this area through pictures. So this is we are in the center of this residential area, and at the bottom of the valley, which is already arranged, and at some point this arrangement stops, and then wait a second. My colleague switched me to the cable. Okay, maybe now it will be better. So this is the point where the first challenge appears. First of all, we have staircase on the one hand, so it's not accessible for the disabled people, and on the other hand, we have such a ramp. But generally, the pavement, the space for walking ends here. And of course, when we look at this place, it requires some kind of invitation, some kind of gate view that would attract people to go on. And when we go on, we see such a nice shallow valley. which is really nice already, but maybe not accessible for everybody. And in the background of it, we can see the main probably challenge of the whole system, of the whole connection, which is simply the end of the easy path, easy, well-trodden path. At this point, we have a crossing of many such paths. People simply trod them because they wanted to communicate between the both parts or all four parts of the residential area. You can see it on Google satellite pictures, and you can see them also on the films. So this is how people try to communicate in this area. This is a major challenge. An old road solution between two parts of residential area laying on the two parts of local main road between communicating the different parts of Lublin. And here there is simply no connection for pedestrian and for bicycles.
Marcin, sorry to interrupt you, but what I see on my screen, maybe most of our audience also see it the same, are just a list of pictures, but we don't see the pictures on a big screen.
Okay.
Is it possible to maybe double click on the picture and like a slideshow of the picture, so we can have an idea of the area that is the problematic area that our participants need to bear in mind when they create the final
Maybe I chose the wrong screen. Can you see a big picture now?
Yes, now yes, we see it. Thank you so much.
Sorry, it's my fault. So let me just compensate for this loss. So this is the entrance to the problematic area, which requires some kind of gate. Another problem, infrastructural problem, no connection for bicycles and the disabled. Then the nicest part of the valley, and with the main challenge in the background, the intersection of well-trodden paths which people made to communicate across this valley. As you can see, people simply self-made system of communication, and the main road problem here, an old large road solution that gives no connection for pedestrians and bicycles. Then we go under a flyover, which has a piece of good pavement to cross the main street connecting various parts of Lublin. So it's a main one of the main Lublin roads. And when this is a look behind, so the space is walkable, but not very nice. This is another look behind for the distance that we covered. And here, a very interesting moment where we have to climb the small hill to go on. And people choose from this direction, people choose one way, and when from another direction, people go choose the lower path. So this is simply how we work, how we act, how we react to views that we can see. So the important part of this challenge is to, first of all, to make the communication solutions intuitive for pedestrian and bicycles, so that people don't have to think about where to go, which way to choose, but simply so that it would be intuitive, like these paths. And now we enter a zone which is simply we have a problem with great problem with parking area. So this is the main, let's say, cork, like in a cork in a bottle, in this system. So great big parking lot. And an alley, a road that was in the past, it was for mixed traffic for everybody, but now, since we have so many cars, it's simply mainly used as a car park. But when you count the cars, it turns out that there are about 15, 17 cars. So the question arises: is it worth keeping it for cars? And maybe such a parking could be arranged somewhere else, and this should be given to pedestrians and bicycles. Now we again enter.
Interrupt 5 minutes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Now we enter in an intuitive way. We go to an area of a small trade center, and continue our walk through the road, which is partly a car park, and the place for pedestrians. This is the small center, and the place for pedestrians is along small pavement along the building on the left, as you can see. So the connection with this pavement is not very intuitive. Here we pass by intersecting connections with another green area, which is well described on the film, so it's no use mentioning it here. But what I want to show you in my presentation, which is important, is that we end up in such a street, Solarza Street, which is again green, but the main communication road is for cars, and the pavement is only on one way of this street, and is very narrow. And going along this street, we approach, we come to the entrance to the Czechov Hills, which looks like this. Again, this is where we stop our challenge, but this area definitely requires some kind of gate invitation, because it doesn't look nice for other people. It's not, it doesn't leave good memories, let's say. But when we cross the bush, you can see how the Czechov Hills are beautiful, how beautiful they are, and you can see also other residential areas. So all these people wait for this connection in the other way. This is the whole sense of making this connection and solving these challenges, these barriers, to let people move more freely to the center by bike or by foot, or take walks just for recreational aims. So that's all. And I'm here, and my friend Janek Kamiński are here to help you to make more photos if you need them for some visualizations, and help you in any way. The organizers have phones to us and telephone numbers and mails, so we are in touch. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Marcin, for these inspirational words, and I'm pretty sure that the teams will take them on board when designing their solutions. And now let's move to our second inspirational Techpill talk with Dr. Eva Vidal from the UPC. Dr. Eva Vidal is Delegate of the Rector attached to the Vice Rector for Social Responsibility and Equality at the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya. She focuses her research and teaching on the area of analog and radio frequency electronics and on sustainable development projects in the area of information and communications technology, ICT. She has directed more than 20 international cooperation projects in the ICT area, and she's the author of more than 50 publications. Eva, welcome. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks. It's my pleasure to be here with you. My name is Eva Vidal, and I am a telecommunication engineer and with a PhD in electronics engineering. Maybe not so helpful for the challenge just presented, but I just say that again to make it clear my absolute belief in technology to create a better world, one with less pollution and more social justice. We need technology to fight against climate emergency, to make cities better places to live. Let me explain what I want to do with my presentation. I want you to make a reflection about the implications of using technology, any technology. We just take it for granted. We are so used to it that we rarely think about the full implications of the technical systems we use every day. We just assume it is a costly convenience, but it's not. It always has an environmental and social cost. The impact differs a lot from some solutions to others, of course, but always has an impact. All our technologies need to be manufactured with energy and materials. We will need energy to work with them, and some waste probably will be generated. And those technologies will have an end-of-life process of repairing, reusing, or destroying involved. I'm not talking only about cars or electric cars, and I'm also talking about roads and paths, bicycles and scooters, smartphones, and the Internet of Things. For example, let's take a quick look at this comparison between CO2 emissions of an electric car, the green line, and a combustion engine car, the black line. This data is from Germany. Just the first year, the electric car will have emitted almost 15 tons of CO2, 74% more than the combustion car. We will need more than 10 years with a use of around 15,000 kilometers by year to equalize the CO2 expelled by the two types of cars. That is due to all the energy we need to produce an electric car. We call embodied energy at the sum of all the energy required to produce a good or service. We must consider as if that energy was incorporated or embodied in the product itself. In fact, to calculate the amount of CO2 produced by any product or service, not only the CO2 emitted during use must be taken into account, but also the emissions caused by its production and disposal. All products have an embodied energy, also the roads, your bicycle, and your smartphone. In fact, almost 90% of the energy needed for your smartphone has been used before you switch it on for the first time. The level of emissions from electric vehicles varies depending on how the electricity is produced. I am sure you already know that. And for example, here in Poland, the carbon intensity is very high, and because it's more electrically generated by from coal. Here in the slide, you can see the data of generation 2 days ago. You can check that web page to see how much CO2 is released by each kilowatt hour generated every moment on any day. The benefit of driving battery cars in cities are immediate. They require motors to reduce noise pollution and reduce toxins like nitrogen oxide and other chemical compounds split from diesel engines that are unsafe to air and human health. But electric cars aren't as clean as they could be. Some studies demonstrate that brake dust is as bad as diesel fumes in terms of toxicity. It has a very bad effects in our immune cells. Here you see the proportion of PM10, that is particle pollution, with diameters that are 10 micrometers and smaller, and that can be inhaled. These charts correspond to the particles emitted by a typical big car. As you can see, only 40% corresponds to emissions from the exhaust pipe. The rest of the pollution particles came from the brakes and from the suspension of road dust. With this information, I wanted you to always remember that we should consider the complete life cycle of a product or service when we are designing a project. In any step, we will be using materials, energy, and we'll be generating waste. Waste and also emissions. That is in the construction of roads, paths, cars, bicycles, and smartphones, and in all the infrastructure involved in its operation. Summarizing, everything has an impact. The embodied energy should be taken into account. The reparation and the end-of-life management should be planned. And we must not forget about the possible positive but also negative effects on people through all the life cycle process of project. And as I still have some minutes, and you will probably think on connections to internet in some of your proposals, maybe you can come up with a new application that will need a smartphone or some data servers. Let me explain a short story of your smartphone. This could be the story of the one you have in your pocket or the laptop you are using to attend this seminar. It begins with some raw minerals from Africa, from mines that are not respecting human rights, that are causing wars and terrible ecological disasters. Those raw materials will travel to China factories. There, with carbon-generated electricity and not very good working conditions, the product will be fabricated. From those factories, or a smartphone or laptop will travel to Europe, to here, where we are now, where will we develop amazing projects. And after some time, it is possible that a broken smartphone will illegally travel again to Africa. In this case, for very toxic informal recycling. Toxic because toxins are some of the elements with which circuits or smartphone is made. And toxic are the products needed to extract the valuable minerals. The extraction of the raw materials we need for our smartphones and also for the batteries of all our electric devices, including electric cars, bicycles, and scooters, produces great environmental and social impacts. The Congo wars for the coltan mines are just some terrible and sad examples. Also, we have now a huge demand on lithium and cobalt that are causing social and environmental problems on mines on South America. And I just foresee problems with the rare earth elements that are needed to the fabrication of our device, because only one country controls most of the mines from which they are mined. Smartphones, laptops, routers, data centers have a huge embodied energy. They require a really huge quantity of energy just because the transistors on chips are very, very small, of the size of micro and nanometers. The second law of the thermodynamics plays here. Had you ever thought about all the circuits that had to be connected to the electrical network in order your data, your message gets to the cloud? And do not forget that, in fact, what we call the cloud are thousands and thousands of computers that must be manufactured and plugged in. Then every data is sent, some CO2 is released. And although we, engineers, year after year design devices that consume less and less, more and more devices are sold and used. That is what we call the rebound effect. Finally, when our device doesn't work anymore, after trying to repair or reuse it, and I suppose you always try to make the life of your device as long as possible, it becomes e-waste. Every year, 50 megatons of e-waste are generated, and only around 25% is recycled. Where it goes the other 25%? When I talk about e-waste, I am talking also about solar panels. Remember that solar energy is green, but solar panels are not. I have talked about environmental issues. Social ones will be also related with your projects. What will you do, what will we do with all the data that our applications and platform generates? Do not forget about the principal points of data ethics that are here related. You have some seconds to read that. And never forget to protect the data against different risks, including malicious hackers, and to think what will you do when problems arise. Sorry if I sounded negative. It was clearly my intention. I do believe that IT, what we call information technology, will be the solution to most problems we have today. I really believe it. I just want to point out that special care has to be followed to do things better. Try to buy to manufacturers that offer transparency, avoid obsolescence. Also, the steady one. If the project works with data to the cloud every 2 minutes, do not send data every minute. And do not forget that rotating and reusing are necessary. Summarizing, just rethink and rethink again and rethink again if a better design is possible. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, here you will find my email, and also I will be now available through the chat. Thank you for your attendance. Isabel, nothing. And we are a lot.
Yes, now it seems that my microphone is working. I'm having quite a lot of problems. It seems that since the beginning we were having problems with the sound, and we will finish the Citython with the same issues. Thanks a lot, Eva, for these explanations and inspirations. And now it's the moment for questions. Any question in the room to our two inspiration people today, Marcin and Eva? I'm checking in the chat and I don't see any question, but I saw a compliment to Eva, very inspirational, from Christopher Kovalik. And okay, if anyone has a question, I would like to ask one to our two speakers. Considering also that you have the two focus on reality, so you experience urban mobility and these challenges from different perspectives, but also you're very linked to citizens. So you have always had the opportunity to interact with them and to see what are their needs. Why is it so important to tackle these challenges to make cities more livable for all of them? What would you think that would be the main benefits of tackling these challenges for the citizens? How would their lives improve?
Sorry, you're asking me because I was checking the chat, right?
I'm asking both of you. So okay. The question goes to both of you.
Well, so maybe I'll answer as the first. So I think that the quality of life can be observed in the smallest scale. So when we go to work early in the morning and we know where the bus will come, for example, and we are sure it will come. Or when we go for a walk and we have a small child and we have space to walk with him for a long time when the child is sleeping, for example, and so on and so on. So I think that creating a quality city, a city of high quality, requires a constant connection with simply user experience. It's city is a product like anything, like my telephone, and city should be as pleasant in touching, looking, and so on as a Galaxy or anything like that, or my car, for example. User experience is the most interesting, is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think humans are attracted to beauty, and we all want to be involved in beauty. And also, in the city we can see nature, we maybe remember more usually that we have to take care of nature with all our actions. And maybe seeing that in a city, we can also think what happens with all we do every day, as just I explained, with all what all our actions become in nature if we don't take care of it. Maybe to have that in city and to connect the city in that way, we remember us every time that we have to take care of our planet.
That's actually very two nice messages. User experience is the most important thing because citizens are at the core of our activities, and of course we remember the role we play in the planet. Marcin, Eva, thanks a lot for inspiring us today and for inspiring the future teams taking these challenges. It was a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for technical problems, but I use Zoom not often, and every time I learn something more by my mistakes.
I think that today we all had a lot of problems with the sound, so no worries, Marcin. It was a typical thing today in this session, and you managed really well. Thanks a lot for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
And now it's time to register to face these challenges. Please remember that we're closing registrations on the 18th of October. You don't have a team? Don't worry, no one's left behind here. So you can register alone and organizers will assign you to a team. Once we close registrations, we will announce the teams next 20 October via email. And in the meantime, should you have any question, please do not hesitate to drop us an email at citython@carnetbarcelona.com. And in the event you arrived late today, or you missed part of the whole event, or you just want to refresh what was discussed here today, be aware that the recordings will be available as of tomorrow on the website www.citython.eu. I repeat, www.citython.eu. And in that website, you can also check out the past editions of the Citython and learn more about the teams. And last thing, thanks to all the partners making all this possible, to all the attendees for accompanying us today. And we hope you had a very nice time, you got inspired, and you got challenged to take the 3 challenges in the city of Lublin. And looking forward to seeing you all next 28th of October. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.